Welcome everybody to WCU Entertainment Review. I am still your host, Jimmy, and with me is Dylan. He is like having a job during spring break. He just doesn't matter.
I matter just like I matter as much. Is this black or blue?
I think it's gold and white.
I'm seeing black and blue.
And that's your topical joke of the week.
We're relevant.
When we come back, we will be talking about television with our panel. Welcome back, and now we're going to talk about special effects in TV. And what I have here is the digital Erica and the digital Dylan. I can't prove that.
I'm not real.
We sort of look lifelike, but not really.
No, we're just pixels on a screen.
It's true, but basically what we're going to talk about, especially television here, is, you know, special effects is starting to really take over television. It's taking over movies, but you know, especially television is kind of weird because it's where movies have been doing it for a while. TV's kind of starting to do it, and it can be as little as like we've talked about the show Arrow on this show a couple times.
There's some decent special effects in there.
Well, no, I was watching an interview with Stephen Amell, who plays Oliver Queen, and he was saying that he doesn't actually fire his arrows; they're all digitally made. And
That's really cool.
It kind of makes sense when you think about it because, you know, you don't want people firing arrows on a closed set and then somebody's going to end up getting, like, you know.
That's what stunt doubles and extras are for.
Exactly. We've lost a couple just this semester. But the point is, you know, these shows are kind of starting to go more out there, and especially with shows like Sleepy Hollow, Walking Dead, and just all these, you know, sci-fi shows, they have to do this type of thing. What do you think, Erica?
I mean, I watch Once Upon a Time, and it's a show about taking all the different fairy tale characters and putting them on a show, and there's constantly special effects. A lot of times they're not that great, but it just, in order to keep the story going, you kind of have, it's believable because in the situations that the fairy tale characters are, you need special effects.
A lot of it has to do with like the bigger budgets that these TV shows are able to get. And I mean, there's always been special effects in TV shows. Like if you even go back when Xenon, Princess Warrior, and that kind of stuff was big. Remember all the hokey giant puppets and stuff they would have?
Just for correction, the name is Xena. Xenon is a girl from the 21st century on a Disney Channel movie.
Yes,
Okay.
DCOM.
I remember that movie. Anyway, but yeah, it has to do with the bigger budgets and stuff, and the TV industry is realizing, oh, hey, we can't have hokey and corny props anymore because the movie industry has stuff that looks like it's reality. We have to at least bridge the gap a little bit, or else we're going to get made fun of.
And you know, I watched the show Sleepy Hollow, and with Sleepy Hollow, you know, they have to make a lot of like fake creatures who aren't really there, and they have to do a lot of crazy stuff. Like, you know, just a couple weeks ago, their season finale, they had the Headless Horseman chop off the head of Benjamin Franklin, and yes, that is actually what happened.
I don't remember reading about this in history books.
Yeah, I feel like
They
took something out.
They were able to, in a spoiler alert, reverse time. But, you know, that was just kind of one of those weird things, like, you don't think of it as a special effect, but you have to create the fake head, you have to create the fake Headless Horseman, and it's just a very cool version of the story. But, you know, but basically, I think with TV, as long as they keep it centered, it's fine. It's when it starts getting ridiculous and fake that you have the problems, which we'll kind of talk about next, or later today, excuse me, in our movie segment.
Well, a lot of it has to do, again, with budgets. And the bigger the budget they get, the more runaway special effects they'll get. So we're going to reach a certain point when it's just going to be Michael Bay, the TV show, which any chance we can get to take a jab at Michael Bay is amazing.
Michael Bay is not allowed on my television, that's for sure.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Ugh.
I don't want it.
Explosions.
Other than Pain and Gain, that dude has not made a funny movie or a good movie in like 10 years. Actually, let's be honest, never. But
they're funny to watch because it's bad.
Well, we'll talk about that more in the movie segment. Yes. So, in closing, I think what we're just trying to say here, guys, is, you know, keep the effects in kind of in order, and as long as they're worth watching, you'll probably get a bigger audience, especially sci-fi films because you need them, or sci-fi TV shows because you need them. And so what we're gonna do is send it back to the desk with Jimmy and Dylan, or
Aren't we
ourselves.
at the desk? Well, like we're already at the desk. This is the same desk.
I just won't be there.
Yeah.
Dylan, that was an interesting conversation, but what we're going to move to next is our brand new Game Central studios
Yeah, we can see it over there.
with those handsome gentlemen, Jimmy and Dylan. Mostly Jimmy.
Let's go make fun of some video games.
segment. And Dylan, what we got here is still our new studio.
It has that new studio smell.
I hope that's a studio. Anyway, what we're going to talk about today is 1886, The Order. And Dylan, what the game is basically kind of based around the Knights of the Round Table. Why don't you kind of explain it a little bit
It's
more?
kind of this steampunky, Gears of War-y combat style kind of game. It's a modern shooter, effectively, but in 1886, as the title says. Which I'm not sure what year that is. Do you know, Jimmy?
I'm going to go 1995.
I think so too. So 1995, The Order 1886. It's the showrunner for the PlayStation 4. It's Sony's kind of call to this is why you want to buy our console.
And here's the interesting thing. It bombed. And the reason for it is, in our opinion, is it's not a game. It's a cartoon with kind of you pushing buttons at certain points. And what they have is a lot of cinematic elements. And Dylan, why don't you explain one of the biggest problems with the game?
It has what we like to call quick time events, as in it interrupts the gameplay to make you push a button for no reason. There is some shooting elements in the game, but it's a very short game, and the majority of the gameplay is either shooting or quick time events. That's not fun.
And the thing is, quick time events, when used correctly, can actually add to a game. But the problem is when you just do it, it doesn't seem like the game's based around anything but you pressing a button and
It's
you're
arbitrary.
you're just playing a movie.
Yeah.
And the problem with this game is, and we're seeing it a lot with these PS4 games, is visually they look great.
But there's no context. There's nothing there. It's just pretty.
It's like an apple without a core. That's what we call a reference right there. Thank you. Or an analogy. But we'll just keep rolling. And the point is here, guys, this game has a lot of problems with, not being able to give gamers something to play for.
The developers of the studio were saying how just because the reviewers did not enjoy the cinematic experience, that they shouldn't negatively record it, but that's implying that they weren't reviewing a game.
And it's only 7 hours of gameplay. I mean,
$60.
$60 for 7 hours.
Yeah, I can do a lot better with $60 for all.
That is literally like $8 an hour, plus some math in there. But we go to Westchester. We're not big into the math department.
It scares us.
And the point is here, guys.
It's a modern trend.
If PS4 and Xbox One really wanted to start succeeding, because we've talked about it a lot from last season, and we haven't really touched on it yet.
There's
but
been no games
yeah, there's just not a lot of great games
for the modern consoles.
There's been a lot of 7s and 8s and games that aren't that 10 that everyone's looking for. There's not that breakout game. And until that comes out, games like Order 1886.
Or Rise, Sons of Rome, that was effectively the order for the Xbox.
Yeah.
There's showrunners, but there's no reason for us to go out there and buy the game. And this has been a trend in the gaming industry where it's a focus on making things look pretty. But look at this trailer. This trailer has nothing to do with the video game.
Well, it kind of has something to do with video game.
Vaguely.
Vaguely, but it's showing you clips. But the problem is, it's not how you play the game. And a lot of times, you're just walking in places, and there's just nothing to do. And
Shooting sections.
it's like
again.
okay, like say if you're playing like Madden football, would you want to run down the field and get stuck and have to just hit X? You know what I mean?
It could be the Eagles.
Well, after Chip Kelly's trade yesterday with LaShawn McCoy, let's not get into that discussion. But what we're going to do now is send it back to the desk with, us.
Oh, yeah. Hi, us. Look, we can wave over there.
Dylan, those two guys on the screen over there, so pretty.
And a fun subject to video games, but let's make fun of movies and Michael Bay.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be talking about movies and special effects. And what we were talking about earlier today with with television, we were talking about how TV's kind of, starting to do this. We've talked about with games, them kind of adding a lot of special effects in terms of, cinematic stuff. And now we're talking about movies, which, let's be honest, has kind of gone incredibly overboard with the special effects.
Are you saying that every instant any car touches anything else, an explosion isn't warranted?
I mean, it's not like all movies are like this. It's stuff like
Transformers.
I mean, when I think of really, really bad special effects, I think of movies that add the special effects for no reason. What comes to mind is the last Harry Potter movie, when they basically had Voldemort explode on the screen, and that was just sort of to add like this cool special effect that they could add. Like that didn't need to happen at all.
Emphasis that he died or whatever.
Yes.
Well, and you can kind of see the difference in terms of special effects in like older movies compared to, especially because we've seen a lot of remakes in the last 10 years. Because remakes in Hollywood these days is like
It's the best idea ever.
it's
Look,
like candy to a fat kid.
if you want to make a lot of money and don't think about anything, just pick a movie everybody loves, remake it, miss the entire point of the movie, and then lose lots of money.
Well, like the example I'm thinking of is I think it's called The American Haunting, or it's just The Haunting. I'm not 100% sure what the title is, but basically it's this movie from 1999, and they did in the 40s. They didn't have these special effects in the 40s. There's some spooky elements, but it was like what they were trying to do was more about what was happening, and it was more about suspense. The movies they made in 1999, they basically did all these like crazy special effects, and basically what you got is these really bad CGI fake ghost heads popping off stuff, and it's just like that is not going to work.
Was that the one with the bed that came up like all weird like? I remember that movie. That movie was so bad.
Well, it takes away from the plot and the point of the movie when you add special effects that don't need to be there.
Another good example is, did you guys see The Thing?
No.
Really? Okay, well, The Thing is an 80s movie that was based on an older movie from the 50s or 60s. I think it's called The Creature with a Thousand Faces or something. I'm getting the name wrong. But anyway, so the 80s movie in The Thing, you only see the creature for about 5 minutes in the first hour and a half, roughly. And then you see a big blob of it at the last 5-10 minutes. But for most of it, you just see like an arm or a leg or weird spindly tentacle things or whatever. And it was terrifying because you never saw it completely. You didn't know what it was made out of and all that stuff. And then when they remade the movie, right, because they had all these CGI and special effects and stuff like that, they were able to make the monster very cheaply and have it everywhere. So you saw the monster pretty much every 5 minutes in the remake of the movie that came out in this 2 years ago, I think.
Well, okay, just take it, cause we're talking about older movie. I just made it brought up. A great example is, you guys know Legend of Oz, the one that James Franco did.
Legend of Oz?
Whatever it was called.
Wizard of Oz.
No, they made a remake called Legend of Oz.
Yeah, I remember
Don't
that.
correct me.
It was such a bad movie.
The point is,
Yeah.
they made Wizard of Oz, they kind of made a prequel to it, and they used a ton of CGI on everything, and it looks so fake. And then you go and watch the 1939 version, which clearly, they don't have budgets for special effects, they don't have the computer graphics and all that stuff. It looks so much realer in the 1939 movie than they do in the 2012 movie, and that's, to me, that's inexcusable.
I mean, just sticking with the idea of the Wizard of Oz, when you take the one that was recently made and you put it next to the one that was made earlier, you don't need the special effects to carry the plot.
Exactly.
They just used them because they were able to use them.
Because it's flashy and showy, and it's like, oh, look how much money this movie cost. We can show all the special effects and stuff. But certain directors have
it's been Michael
pushed,
Bay.
yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. We all know who we're talking about. It's Michael Bay. I mean, just like everything's an explosion.
We can't move too suddenly for fear of an explosion.
I mean, it's just like the Transformers movies. I think the Transformers, just the characters, take away the fact that the plots are stupid and nothing makes sense. The way they built those machines, they look awful.
They're all these complicated little.
They're all like black and dark and
yeah.
ugly looking, and they don't even look like real machines, and stuff like that just bothers me. But to be fair, there is kind of a benefit. I mean, I remember hearing Christopher Reeves, who played Superman in the 1970s movies. He did a guest spot on the TV show Smallville when that used to be a Superman movie, and Tom Welling, the guy who played Clark Kent, basically said, he talked to Christopher Reeves about it, and Christopher Reeves was just like completely blown away by the fact that what would take them to do for a month in the movie, on a TV show they could do in like a couple hours. That type of thing is it's great to see where it's going, but I think Hollywood needs to see that it's not okay to just.
Some directors take it way more.
Yeah, you can't just throw stuff and have everything blow up.
Well, I mean, I think when it comes down to it, special effects are great. I mean, it's safer for the actors. In ways saves money because you're not spending so much time on it. I just think that directors and producers think that they need special effects to draw in crowds.
That's true.
Something we haven't covered, I feel, for special effects is think about the original Star Wars movies, right? Some of the stuff they couldn't do because of just the limitations. So it forces the directors, the producers, the staff, everybody. Like the limitations of technology at the time forces them to figure out interesting solutions. So new plot points might be created, new cinematography, angles and stuff. But with CGI, you can pretty much put it in anything and not have to worry about it. Like if you need a monster in this scene, bam, done, there's a monster. you don't have to worry about anything else. So it gets away from that forced creativity.
That's true. And I mean, I think just to kind of close this argument up, I think really what Hollywood needs to start doing is they need to start looking at movies at the aspect of the viewers and not just because they can throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and make these giant, awesome sets. I mean, sometimes it does pay to be more realistic. And, especially when we can sit there and CGI somebody, make them look older or younger, that can kind of work, but it can also kind of blow up in your face. I mean, the X-Men Wolverine Origins, where they had Patrick Stewart in his 70s sitting there, and they kind of they kind of smoothed out his wrinkles, but he still looked like he was 80. It's just really weird looking, but stuff like this, Hollywood needs to work on. But I think what we need to talk about really is ending the show because I have class. So, Dylan, any final thoughts?
Spring break's gonna be fun. There's nothing entertaining going on.
Unless you have to work.
Yeah, except that. If you have to work, I'm sorry. Have fun.
Have fun working. I'll be in Florida.
Yeah.
I will be at home doing a lot of papers because for some reason the senior year has become more about papers than actually being your senior year, not doing anything.
High five to vacations. Oh crap, watch out!
See you after break.
Michael Bay, please put an explosion in there. We love you so much.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Just please put an explosion there.